It's time now for some Cowboys Twitter. Top tweets going viral. A lot of quotes as the players are available for the media for discussion today, and got a lot of good stuff flying in from all the top players. So let's update these storylines. We are going to start with Dak Prescott on his contract situation. He got some reaction out of the national media today. That Kyle Brandt renob on the NFL Network, had like a 2-minute rant while he was sitting in his car or whatever, talking about how he disagreed with what Dak said, or he wanted to be cynical about it. Dak said, "I don't play for money."
Mm-hmm. Called him out on it, didn't he?
He says, "I know my business will take care of itself, just controlling what I can control. I'll leave that to the business people to say what it's worth, what they're supposed to give a quarterback of my play. It's about controlling what I can control and handle that part, and everything else will take care of itself." Yeah, and it'll be interesting. Obviously, whatever he says is going to be dissected, and I think a lot of people probably had that initial thought of, well, how could you say you're not playing for money and also be trying to maximize the worth of your contract? And I don't know. There's some subtlety. There's some nuance in there. Kyle Brandt let him have it. I think it's probably more just like, well, obviously I'm playing for the money. Otherwise, I would not even negotiate. I'd just be like, hey man, give me the league minimum and we'll go for the Super Bowl. But I think at the same time, you want to be given the value for the services that you provided. What the reality is he's doing his best to not let it be a distraction, because he knows. I mean, just you look at players in key situations, how stressed out they are. And obviously in the locker room, money is, a big focus for a lot of the players. But from what he's coming from is a perspective of, if you allow that to be a focus, it can become a massive distraction, and I like that. I wonder if he stepped in it a little bit, and he's going to be, facing the cynics, talking about him the same way that they talk about Jerry Jones when he said, "I'm all in." This is like the second great punchline or ready-made joke that I think we've received so far this offseason.
It will when it turns into they can't sign other players.
Yes.
When they can't get CeeDee Lamb done. And I think the guys over there, I know those guys that work on those contracts. It's not that they don't want to try and do it. I think there's some things that they just can't get done right now. And it's a two-way street, but we'll see how it all plays out. But if it turns into they start losing players, because they can't get guys signed up because the quarterback's got the majority of the cap, then you're gonna start to really hear it.
Yeah, the Dak haters are fueled up off this one.
Yeah.
Boy, they are ready to drop hammers.
Yeah, you lose CeeDee Lamb, or you lose Micah Parsons, or you lose somebody like that, and I know they've got franchise tags and things like that they can use, but if it turns into something where all of a sudden the quarterback's holding them up because they're trying to think about how they're going to pay $53 million to somebody, this could be something not very good for Dak.
Yeah, people will be retweeting these quotes months and maybe even years from now, referencing because the line, like, "I don't play for money. I have never cared for it." It's like, okay, that's obviously, and it's tough to consistently do the quarterback speak and say the exact right thing every single time, which Dak is batting as close to 1,000 as anybody in that scenario. Yeah. That line right there, which is obviously as untrue as anything as anyone's ever said, is going to come back and bite you. You don't have Todd France as your agent. You don't. I mean, he's not Scott Boras, but it's like you don't have Scott Boras as your agent and say, "Oh, I don't care about the money." Todd France has shown he's a super shark. Okay,
yeah,
he's squeezing
really
it out.
At his job.
Yeah, he's fantastic at getting people the most money possible, which is his goal. And Dak decided that's the guy he wants to have. So there's no harm in wanting to be paid as much as possible. But when you say, "I don't play for money, I've never cared for it," that's patently false, and of course people are going to jump all over that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like the focus of not being focused on the money for sure. I mean, I would love it if a Tom Brady deal would happen, but if I'm in Dak's shoes, I have zero faith that amount of money is going to allow the Cowboys to win. I think I would have to play for zero. Or $1 million and give them a $60 million advantage. Now we can get an extra corner. We can
Shohei Ohtani kind of a deal.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if that was possible under the salary cap rules, that would be awesome if they could pull something off like that and go for the championship. But I don't know if the Cowboys would even be interested in that. The connection between Dak and Brandin Cooks in 7-on-7 stood out yesterday, according to John Machota. Mm-hmm. Cooks' quote, having a season under my belt with Dak, I started slow the first half, but picked it up. I just look forward to get this season going and hitting the stride like I know I'm capable of. I'm going to go out there and make a lot more plays than I did last year. Yeah, you get second half Brandin Cooks, that'd be amazing, because it did take a while to get that together, didn't it?
It did take a long time. They were trying to figure out ways to get him the ball, and then all of a sudden they knew they couldn't get the ball to Gallup. They couldn't get him on the crossing routes and stuff, and then Cooks took over a lot of Gallup's routes, and they were able to they found a little bit of a niche for him. We were thinking that when Cooks came here, it was going to be vertical game. We've very rarely seen that from the Cowboys with the vertical part. All his stuff has really kind of been underneath and on the move, but if that helps you win games, that's how you need to ride that thing. Because like I say, I was expecting that ball to go down the field a bunch with him. Just hadn't happened.
Yeah, I guess that was the case in 7-on-7 yesterday. So hopefully they're trying to work more of that, pushing the ball down the field with Cooks and Dak. But you would obviously expect in year 2, being in the same offense together, having that connection, it should get much better. And it happened in real time as the course of the season went on last year. And especially with the lack of tertiary weapons, if you will, like from a wide receiver standpoint, Cooks is going to have to be a monster.
Yeah,
like it's going to be a 3-headed. It's almost like what the Eagles do, where it's like we got 2 stud wide receivers and a stud tight end. And that's basically what we have here with Ferguson, Lamb, and Cooks. They're all going to have to be awesome and healthy.
Trey Lance, my confidence is much higher than when I got into the NFL. I feel great about where I'm at, continuing to get better, continuing to learn, continuing to be a better QB.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, I've learned a lot about myself, who I am on and off the field this offseason. I feel like I'm probably at my best as far as mentally, physically, spiritually, just knowing who I am, where I am, and being able to be present. So he's off on that spiritual journey a little bit that a lot of athletes get into to handle the pressure, the expectations. Yeah, maybe going a little Ricky Williams in his offseason. But I think there are a lot of fans that are hoping that they get a chance to see him in the preseason and hoping that they're impressed.
You will. You'll get to see quite a bit of him. And a matter of fact, I've been on a couple different platforms here recently where they were – I think that the expectations for him is, find a way to get him as the backup. Have him get enough work to where you can determine that if something were to happen to Dak, that he could get into the game and play. I mean, hopefully you feel that confident. You know what Cooper Rush is.
Maybe you could trade Cooper to somebody and get something else to help you.
Remember when Cooper Rush had a chance to sign somewhere? The Raiders were the only team, and the weather was bad that day, and he couldn't fly out, and he decided the next day to sign with Dallas.
Sounds like something I'd do. Yeah, bad weather. Let's bag it.
Bag it and stay home. No, but you look at Cooper.
But nobody
Rush.
wanted him. Was your point, right?
That was my point.
Yeah.
And to me, there's nothing wrong with having Cooper Rush, but if somehow Trey Lance can prove to you enough that he could be a viable second quarterback and the offense could be productive with him in there, then I'm giving him every bit of rep, everything over. I know what Cooper Rush is. In training camp, I really don't want to see Cooper Rush. I want to see Cooper Rush working with the threes and doing what he has to do, but I need to see Trey Lance. I need to figure this thing out. And I'd like to know what they did with Trey Lance like all last season. I'd like to know, what was his routine? Mm-hmm. Did they have a practice after the practice for him where they had practice squad receivers and practice squad defensive backs, and were they moving up and down the field with him making calls and stuff like that? I want to know. I'd like to know how he's got this confidence that he feels now, because there's obviously something has kind of changed for him in that way. He's healthy, which he never was at San Francisco.
Yeah, he's obviously talented, very, very accurate. I mean, didn't one year he had 0 picks?
Oh, yeah.
And he ran like Dak ran in college, kind of a tank, maybe a little bit faster.
Yeah, a little bit more elusive.
Yeah, yes, but he's a guy that's going to win with his arm and can also run, and I just think that's perfect in today's NFL. But obviously the college program that he came from, and then so far as a starter on that San Francisco team not being able to be that great, that's a red flag. If you're not able to play great with Kyle Shanahan, then I can see why they'd move on from him. But maybe there's still some gold to harvest in there.
Yeah, my guys in San Francisco said, you know what, hey, Brock Purdy came in and did a hell of a job, but they said that Trey Lance that he kind of got worked over a little bit, but his health was not good. And that was the thing that's why they moved on. That health was just not everything else about him, the work ethic and the ability and stuff they love, but Brock Purdy just turned them around completely. And so they were able to move on from Trey.
972 is all good with the Woolly Bully and his fam. Yes, he's just taking some paternity leave. You get a good amount of that, and it's a good thing to take.
It's a new thing this day and age.
I know it disappoints you highly.
Yeah, hell yeah, it does.
Yeah,
you're from the generation you have the baby, you go back to work the same day.
I mean, like I basically Parcells was the one we had Bennett. 3 days later we had a draft. Kind of a thing. So yeah. That's the way it goes.
Does a signing bonus count towards salary cap if it doesn't sign Dak for a minimum salary hit for a few years and make up the rest with a signing bonus?
I don't know.
It absolutely does count.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think.
Cowboys wide receiver Jalen Tolbert, similar theme, said he lost every bit of his confidence, but he's feeling better than ever.